Hey everybody, this is Mr. McKee again with Net 226. Today I'm going to be going over Packet Tracer 10.8.1, which is configure CDP, LLDP, and NTP. Alright, looking at our topology, we have HQ router on the top left going down to two switches, HQ switch 1 and HQ switch 2. Switch 1 has an NTP server connected to it. HP switch 2 has a PC. And then from HQ, get a serial connection between there and branch router. And then from branch router over to branch switch 1. And then switch 1 has two switches connected to it, branch switch 2 and branch switch 3. Notice that you would have had a broadcast loop, but we have STP running, so one of these, this connection right here is down automatically. Alright, with STP. Branch switch 2 has a PC connected to it, PC2, and branch switch 3 has PC3 connected to it. Alright, and the big thing about this packet tracer, we're going to be using CDP to try to figure out how to get to branch switch 1 because we can't click on it, just like that. So we're going to SSH from branch router into it. And I'm assuming that that's what they mean. Go from branch. They don't really say what. They say SSH into it, but they don't really say from which device. I'm just going to assume a switch branch router. Alright. So let's look at our addressing table. Everything's pretty much straightforward except for they don't tell us the 3 IP addresses for the SVIs. For branch switch 1, 2, and 3. So we got to figure those out using CDP or LLDP. Alright, you can read the objectives, I won't go over those. But the background, a network administrator has been asked to investigate a new client's network. Documentation is incomplete for the network, so some of the information needs to be discovered. In addition, the NTP server needs to be configured on the router, which NTP server is connected to HQ switch 1. Alright, discovery protocols must also be adjusted to control traffic discovery protocol traffic, and discovery protocols must be adjusted to control traffic discovery protocol traffic. That sounds like a lot of protocol traffics, and prevent information about the network from being received by potential unauthorized hosts. Some of the devices' IP addresses are unknown to you, namely the branch switch 1, 2, and 3. You must determine what the IP addresses are so that you can connect to the devices over SSH in order to configure them. You can enter them into the addressing table as you discover them. Now, all I'm going to make you guys turn in is your completed .pka file and your screenshot of your results right here. So you don't have to do that for my course, but other courses I guess you may have to. But one thing though, if you don't know these IP addresses, you're not going to be able to do the last half of the packet tracer anyways, so you should know those before you can complete it. Alright, and also let's see, instructions. Use the table below to log on to the branch switches when you need to do so. Now these look like you're in the privileged exec command line. Those are actually the passwords. Alright, so you have this is the user password to log on with SSH. There's your username, and then this is the privileged exec mode password. It looks like a terminal window. Alright, so you got to use that. And it says, note, click the fast forward time button in the blue bar below the topology to speed up the STP convergence, which that's pretty normal. Mine's been running for like 23 minutes, so it doesn't matter in my case, but make sure you do that. You can also click it several times to speed up the CDP update process. Alright, so, and it doesn't tell you anything, it doesn't give you any commands, it just tells you what to do. Alright, so first thing, and I broke this down when I did it to make it make a lot more sense. Some people may do the videos where they just configure everything that needs to be configured for a specific device, which that's fine, but that's not the way it grades it, and that's the way, and I'm going to break it down step by step to make it a little bit easier. All right. So first thing we want to do is disable CDP on the HQ router. So let's click the HQ router. All right. Enable configure T. All right. So we're going to do no CDP. If you do no CDP question mark, all you have is run or enable. So no CDP run to turn it off. All right. Enable LLDP locally or globally on HQ. So you can do LLDP run right there. So LLDP is running on HQ. All right, on HQ, configure the links to the switches to only receive LLDP messages. So what they're talking about, these two links to the HQ switch 1 and HQ switch 2, you want to make those to only receive. Okay, so these are only going to receive messages. All right, they're not going to transmit out messages, LLDP messages. So let's do that. And to do that, we have to figure out what interfaces we have. So we have gigabit 000 and gigabit 001. So let's go interface gigabit 000. If you type it in correctly, it works better. So 000. All right. So I did no LLDP transmit. I like to read this thing just to make sure I do it right. All right. So I turned on no LLDP transmit, but then I turned on LLDP receive. So it's two separate commands. Right, and then I'm going to the other interface, which is, I always want to put int gigabit 001, and then the same thing, no LLDP transmit, and then LLDP receive. So I can receive messages, I can't transmit messages. All right, completion rate's 24%. Good to go. All right. So we want to disable CDP on the HQ switch 1 and HQ switch 2 switches. All right, so close that down. Let's go to enable, configure T. And notice all these devices on this side of or HQ on this side of the branch router, I don't have to log in with username and password or anything. All right, so that makes it a little bit easier. All right, so let's see. Config T, and then I want to turn off CDP, so no CDP. I got a little lag in I think my wireless keyboard's the battery's getting low in it. No CDP. No CDP, question mark. Okay, so no CDP. Run. No CDP. Run. Okay. So turn off CDP on that one. And then on switch 2, enable configure terminal. So no CDP run. All right, so that's CDP is turned off on both of those switches. And now we're going to go back to the same switches again, and then turn on LLDP. All right, so LLDP run. And notice every command, for the most part, my completion rate goes up, so I know pretty much that I'm typing it incorrectly. Alright, LLDP. Alright, so that's good. So we enable that. Alright, on the HQ switch 1 and HQ switch 2 switches, configure the links to the HQ router to only send, not receive LLDP messages. So we're going to turn on transmit, and we're going to turn off receive. Alright, so we turned on LLDP in this previous step. Now we're going to turn off, we're going to turn on transmit and turn off receive. So we're going back and forth a bunch on these switches, but this is how it grades it, so that's, in this case, that's fine, I guess. Alright, so the first one is interface gigabit 01. And this is what I'm clicking on right here. Gigabit 01 is from switch 1, and then gigabit 01 is on HQ switch 2 also. So I'm just going to duplicate these same commands. Alright. So first is no LLDP receive, and then LLDP transmit. And notice how transmit does not make my completion rate go up. I'm going to go to switch 2, and interface gigabit 01. No LLDP receive, DP transmit. Alright, so 59%. Good so far. Okay. So just did that. Disable LLDP completely on the HQ switch 1 and HQ switch 2 access ports that are in use. So it's referring to HQ switch 1's FA024 going to the NTP server, and then HQ switch 2's interface F01 that's going to PC1. Alright. So to enable to do that, and I can probably do right from here, interface. Come on. Yeah, we need new batteries for this. There we go. Hang on, let me turn off my... Sometimes I turn off my keyboard and turn it back on, it'll work for a little bit. Alright, yeah. So interface F20 or F024. And just from doing this, I can't do it all at once. I got to do no LLDP transmit and then no LLDP receive. So did that for switch 1, and then switch 2. Interface F0. Come on, F01. No LLDP transmit, no LLDP receive. And I figured that out from trial and error, but if I do no LLDP and hit question mark, you can tell it's two separate commands, receive and transmit. Alright, so that one's good. So we disabled that. Now configure CDP as follows. Activate CDP on the branch router. Alright, so we go up here to branch router. And go enable, configure terminal. And then CDP run, and that's it for turning that on. All right, connect to switch BR switch 1 over SSH. You will not be able to open a CLI window by clicking the branch switches. Okay, so I already showed you I can't click on this one because it says configure is locked. The way I figured this out though, alright, this was not really tricky, but since I don't do it a whole lot with CDP, I did, let me exit out of this. Alright, privilege exec mode, I do shows CDP, and then I did question mark, and then I would usually think neighbors. If I do show CDP neighbors, alright, that'll show me a neighbor, and if you notice it's not even showing up yet because I just enabled CDP. So if I hit fast forward time a couple times, it's probably what I'm going to have to do. Alright, now let me try it again. Alright, see now it's showing up, and it shows me it's. So even if I didn't have this topology, I would know I have a neighbor, which is named BR switch 1, connected to gigabit 000, and then its interface is gigabit 01. Let me just click on that to verify. Okay, yeah. But now, what I need though is I need to know the SVI IP address so I can log into it with SSH. It doesn't show me that, but what I can do is, if I do show CDP question mark interface, alright, type interface, if I do a question, am I doing that right? No, CDP entries, show CDP entry, question mark. Alright, you can type in the name of the CDP neighbor entry, but all I do is type in the wildcard. It'll show me all the entries. Alright, when I do that, since I only have one entry anyways, it's not a big deal, but there's my device name, here's my IP address. Alright, it tells me it's a switch Cisco 2960, and it's connected to the local 000, and then it is connected to the remote gigabit Ethernet 01. Alright, and that's its server, our software version. Alright, so if I do that, now I can fill in 192.168.4.250 for that BR switch 1's VLAN 10. Alright, but now since I know that, now I can remote into it. And that's when you're going to need this information right here. Alright. So we're connecting to BR switch 1 over SSH. Alright, and I believe we can do SSH. If you do SSH question mark, it kind of tells you how to log into it, or how to set up your login script. Alright, so login using this username. So if we do -L, our username is going to be this, which is admin. Alright, and then if we did question mark, specify the SSH protocol version, we don't need that. We need to type in the IP address of the remote host, which we just figured that out, which is right here, 192.168.4.250. Copy that, paste it in there, make sure that's right. You probably want to remember that also, alright, in case it has an issue. We hit enter. Alright, gives us a password, log in so it knows we're connected. So then we'll have to use this password. Do Control-C on that, paste it in there. All right, now I'm in branch switch 01. All right, and then if we do enable, we have to use this enable secret password. Copy that, paste it in there. All right, now we're logged in as privileged exec under BR switch 1. All right, now let me see what we have to do. All right, we did CDP on that. Connected switch BR switch 1 over SSH. You'll not be able to open an SSH window with the switches. Connected switches BR switch 2 and switch 3 over SSH. Configure the access ports that are not in use to send CDP messages out of the ports. So really we're not doing anything on switch 1's config, but what we need to do is figure out, we don't know these two IP addresses. All right, so we got to figure those out. Now we're going to use the same thing we used up here. So we're going to do the show CDP entries. And I believe I can just copy this. All right, so let's copy that. And when you're SSHing into from one device to another device to another device, just realize where you are. It's easy to get confused. All right, so paste that in there. All right, now, and as long as this is converged and everything's been updated for CDP, which it looks like it has been, we can figure out BR switch 3. There's its SDI interface. All right, so 192.168.4.254 is switch 3, and then down here, BR switch 2, its interface is that 192.168.4.253. All right, and I can do Control C to break out of that. So what we need to do now is SSH from BR switch 1 to BR switch 2 or BR switch 3. I'm just going to go in order and log into BR switch 2. All right, let me see if I can do it from here. All right, so yeah, it's going to let me do that. Admin, and then the IP address 192.168.4.253. All right, got to use this switch to admin hashtag. Copy that, paste that, enter. All right, enable. All right, log in with this. Paste that, hit enter. All right, now we're in privileged exec for switch 2, BR switch 2. All right, so now we're going to do configure the access ports that are not that are in use to not send CDP messages out of the ports. All right, and the way we figure that out is go up here. The interface port is going to be FA01. So let's do configure terminal interface FA01, and then no CDP. If we do question mark, the only option we have is enable. So no CDP enable disables it. All right, and then let's exit out of this. So if we go SSH L admin, then we do the IP address for BR switch 3, which is 192.168.4.254. All right, password's right here. Paste that in there. Login valid. Okay, what did I do? 4.254. 192.168.4.254. Copy that, paste that. Alright, is it going to let me do that? Maybe. SSH L admin 192.168.4. I am doing that right? 4.254. .192.168.4.254. Alright, it likes that password. SW3 admin #. Alright, yep, there we go. Must have been entering it incorrectly or with a space. Alright, so we're in there. Then we need to go to enable secret. Copy that. See if this works this time. Paste that in there. Alright, yeah, so we're in there. Now we do, let's go to config T, and then the interface we want to return CDP off on in this case is going to be FA01 for switch 3, so interface F01, no CDP, enable. Alright, completion rate is 92%, doing good. Alright. Now finally the next thing we have to do is configure NTP. Configure HQ to use the device at 192.168.1.254 as a NTP server. Alright, so whoops. Go to HQ, hit enter, enable, config, come on, config T, alright, NTP, and if we don't know it, NTP question mark, we want server, so NTP server, we don't know anything else, question mark, alright, the IP address of it tells it right there, 192.168.1.254, 1.254. Alright, and that's it. Alright, it's all set. It's good to go. And that's it. So, pretty short packet tracer. Of course, there's a lot of stuff we got to figure out in there. Probably the most confusing thing is just going through a bunch of different levels of SSH from the branch router into the switches. And now I know that you can kind of like go around it, and they didn't secure these switches like they're supposed to because I can just click on them, but just note the correct process. Like say if you didn't even know like all this was hidden from you, and all you knew was there's one device right here, and you have access to branch router, just know that that's how you do it. All right. And if this looks funny, just know that STP is blocking this from creating a broadcast storm or a broadcast loop for your switch traffic. All right. And that's it. Thanks for watching. Yeah, and if you're in my class, all I need is the .pka file that's completed for this. And then if you go to check results, screenshot of that. It says congratulations, whoever you are, you completed the activity. And if you didn't get anything right, go in here and figure it out. If you can't figure it out, just do a screenshot of your score. All right, and that's it. Thanks for watching.